Hello, everybody. For Sportskeeda Wrestling, I'm Mac Davis. With me right now, a very special guest I had a chance to spend the weekend with, not under great circumstances, unfortunately. He's a promoter, and he brings in quite a lot of talent throughout the United States every year. His name is Scott Wilder. And Scott, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mac.
You know, Scott, we first ran into each other on Thursday night. I had just flown in, come off the elevator to, obviously go down to the bar and kind of, see if the boys were in there. And had a chance when I stopped in there, you kind of grabbed me and said, "Come on in here." And we went and sat down. And we were sitting down with, for a couple of hours there, both Bushwhackers, Luke and Butch. And where we are today and where we were on Thursday is just shocking.
Yeah, it really was a big change of events. Butch landed on Wednesday. I picked him up at the airport. We went back to the hotel. We were staying closer to the airport at that time till Luke came in. And, we had a great meal that night. And he just kept thanking me over and over and over for bringing him in and getting to see Luke one more time and getting out to hang out with the boys. And he was really amped up, and, we did a little promo there at the hotel, that he told everybody he was, finally back on American soil, finally back with his cousin Luke. And the next day we picked up Luke. We went out to lunch and headed over to the Biltmore for WrestleCon. And, we did a small private signing, which everybody saw on Facebook Live. And, they were doing their normal bantering back and forth, and they just kept telling me it felt like old days, and Luke is always a happy guy, but
yes,
he was just, you could just see so much more on his face, and Butch was just gleaming from those old Irish eyes, you know what I mean? And
that was something I noticed. That was something I noticed when we were sitting down with them. And, we just, like I said, we were actually with them all the way up until the time we all retired to go to sleep, because we knew we had to get up early the next morning. And, but the entire time we were at the table, Butch and Luke, you could tell, were having a great time. Luke was he looked like he was as happy as he could be. And if there's anything good that comes out of all of this, it's the fact that at least I know he got to see Butch and Luke together again before he passed away. And that connection between the two of them, there is no doubt that it's there. Watching Luke having to kind of deal with that, I spoke privately with both you and Luke on Saturday morning, because I was waiting for you guys to show up at the table, and nobody showed up. And finally, I got a message from someone. Yeah. And I gotten the message that something had happened, and that's when I reached out to you, and you're like, "Yeah, here's what's going on." But it was just so sad to hear that. But at the same time, like I say, Scott, it was just something else to see those two together and being as happy as they were.
Absolutely. And the funny thing is that they both call each other their third wives, because, they've spent over 50 years together on the road. The both of them have known each other longer than they've known their wives. You know what I mean? And
yeah, they started bickering at the table that night, and I said to him, I said, "Y'all sound like an old married couple."
And they are 50 years, and yeah. It was so great just to see them back together. And Honky Tonk Man came over and joined us, and he even said, "Man, it's so good to see those two back together," and everybody else that came over to stop and see us. And it was just a wonderful feeling to see that. And then Friday morning, we just took a bad turn, And
yeah. And I think we all kind of knew that things weren't looking too good, and that was the scary part, because we were trying to kayfabe it, basically, because we didn't want a lot of people to be aware of it. And the reason for that is we wanted the family to know before anyone else.
Absolutely. His whole family is in New Zealand, and out of respect for them, they have a pretty decent sized family, and we just wanted to really get a hold of them and let them deal with it privately for a while before it went all over the internet. Which you know, once we announced he was in the hospital,
Yep.
I mean, it was all over every sports key that picked it up and every other sports online, and I mean, fans, and you know, I mean, there was a lot of rumors and speculation out there when they did take him out in the ambulance, and we just wanted to give them time to contact everybody and be respectful to his family.
How is Luke doing? Have you spoke with him today?
Uh, I've been with Luke all the way through this. In a minute.
Sure.
Sorry, Mac.
No, that is understandable,
Luke,
brother.
Luke is having his good moments and his bad moments, but overall he's doing pretty good. You know, I mean, it's hard on him. He's known the guy 50 years. You know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, as much fun as they were having when we saw them together, it's just it had to be a shock. And please let him know that we're all thinking about him. And I did send a message to him, and if he ever wants to say something, just tell him to give me a call. We can go through you, whatever we need to do. But our prayers, and I'm sure all the fans, your prayers, everybody for that family is like he says, they're all over in a whole other country. They're not here, and so they're far away from the man they love, and unfortunately, that's pretty tough.
You know, luckily, before he passed, the hospital was able to do a Zoom with them, so they got to spend some time with him before he passed. And me and Luke were bedside with him when he did. So, you know, he didn't pass alone, and he had people around him that really cared.
Like I said, I think being together with his brother in real life. I mean, they're not by blood, but if you could ever be a brother in this business, those two were true brothers and that close. And so, you know, again, please reach out to Luke. Let him know that we all love him, and we're praying for him, his family, as well as Butch's family, and everything that's going on.
Absolutely, Mac.
Scott, let me ask you a real quick question before we go. Is the GoFundMe still going right now? Can that still be used to help for burial or anything?
GoFundMe is still going. And that's going to just help with medical bills. I mean, they're expecting medical bills to be astronomical.
Yeah.
Because he did have a stay in ICU for quite a while, and all the medical efforts to, try to save him, and it's very expensive. Everybody knows that now. So.
Oh yeah.
If anybody does want to, $5, $10, $1, a million people give $1, and it's $1 million. So,
where do people find that, Scott? Is there
you can go on Bushwhacker Luke's page. I have it on my Facebook page.
Okay.
If you just go to either one of our pages.
Yeah, I was going to say it's on my page as well. So if you want to go to my page, it's right there. And it really, folks, every thing you can do seriously helps. It's just a really bad situation for everybody involved. And we lost a great WWE legend, and not just WWE, because the truth is, I grew up watching the Sheep Herders, and the Sheep Herders were something else before the Bushwhackers. So our deepest sympathies for the entire family.
I when I put my post on Facebook, I put pro wrestling legend, because that's what they truly were with pro wrestling. And
yes,
and it was from coast to coast and country to country that they've done it all. So
absolutely. Scott, thank you so much. I know it had to be hard, and I appreciate you taking the time.
No problem, Mac.